Hello and welcome to the Restaurant Operator Podcast. I'm Mandy Detwiler, editor of QSRweb and Pizza Marketplace. Today I'm here with Tom Gordon, CEO of Slim Chickens, a fast casual chicken brand with more than 283 units based out of Fayetteville, Arkansas. Tom, thanks so much for being with us today.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about the company's history, its origin story, and how it got started, and then maybe a little bit about your background with the company.
Yeah, sure, of course. I'm always happy to share the story, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. I grew up in Arkansas, and I went to TCU in Fort Worth for school and got a finance and real estate degree. But I've been doing restaurants ever since I graduated from college. I worked for Brinker in the Macaroni Grill days early on, and then I worked in Los Angeles for Sunset Conglomerate Restaurants. And during that time, my founding partner, Greg Smart, called me and said, no one's doing a tender concept like this. And there's a couple guys in the Southeast that are doing it, but I think we can do it better. And we just felt like we could refine the offering and take a run at it. And so, we were two younger guys with a dream. And, we built our first little bitty restaurant, which is still operating today. And, it's been just upwards from there. We've had a great run. It's been very fun.
What year are we looking at? What year did you all launch?
We launched in 2003. So 21 years ago, we had our first restaurant. And, now we have, like I said, 283 that opened this week. We open about a store a week. We do 50 to 60 domestic stores every year. And, we do international stores every year too. We have a big business in the UK, 54 of those stores in the UK. And I'm flying to Berlin in 2 weeks to open our first store there.
Wow. Well, Slim Chickens has carved out kind of a unique niche in the fast casual chicken market. How do you plan to maintain and strengthen the brand's identity as the company expands, as you're growing?
I think, there's a couple things. One, you got to have the food. And the food's the hero. The food's got to be, the thing that draws people in and what they want to spend their money on. And then beyond that, then you build in the cultural aspects. You build in, how people feel as they engage with the brand. And, we have contests every summer where people take their cups and koozies and send us in pictures. We have pictures of that stuff from all over the world, which is great. And, we've really had a good time, cultivating the brand culture and making it an experience that guests really love to have and love to share. And they share social media and share with their friends and want to be here. So, the food offering has got to be compelling. And that's the baseline. Beyond that, we want to make sure that we occupy the space in someone's mind, a consumer's mind that wants the best chicken tender, the best of 17 house dipping sauces, the best wrap, the best sandwich, the best sides, the best buffalo wings. And that's what we try to do.
Did you say 17 sauces?
Yes.
That's a lot of sauce.
A lot.
So the chicken market is pretty heavy. It's a kind of a loaded field. How does Slim Chickens differentiate itself from other fast casual chicken chains? And what strategies are in place to maintain that competitive edge?
Well, we talked about the 17 dipping sauces, and that's a big piece of the puzzle. Our flavor profiles, we believe, are the best in the industry and the most unique. We have 17 dipping sauces. Our breading on our tenders is all proprietary. It's our recipe. We've had it since day one. And then we've layered on other interesting, opportunistic menu items. We have jar desserts, which are great, like, Southern jar dessert. Awesome. We have lots of great milkshakes now. We do chicken and waffles. And so there's things that we have layered on to keep guests coming back and to allow our heavy user guests to try new things. To innovate food, we will always do some innovation, but the core products are new when we go to a new city. Even though we've been around 21 years, the product's new if we go to any town USA that's never had a Slim Chickens before. So we're pretty confident in the offering set. It's our job now to execute for the guests in the restaurant and to make sure that we can market effectively and let people know what we're doing.
Okay. Well, what about the customer focus? What is Slim Chickens' approach to understanding and meeting the evolving needs and preferences of customers? What are you all doing?
As you probably know, like the sales channels have changed since COVID. The third party is going crazy, and drive-through is heavier. Inside's coming back, but I think still a little bit less in a lot of brands. It's an important piece for us. But I think that we have to make sure that we meet the guest where they are, and we have to make it easy. We talk about a frictionless guest experience. We want to make sure that experience is frictionless, not only for the guest, but for the drive-through guest, for the mom with 5 kids in the car, for the dad with 5 buddies in the car, or vice versa. And and also because the third party channel is growing, it's got to be easy for the drivers. We got to get those guys in and out efficiently. Got to make it easy for them to find the food they're supposed to deliver, and try to help them out. That we don't want to view them as something that's another challenge for us. We need to treat them like a guest, take care of them, make sure it's easy for them to do what they're getting paid to do, and make sure it's easy for them to get our product to the guests that ordered it.
How do you guys stay ahead of the curve in terms of menu innovation and introducing new items while maintaining brand consistency?
We don't do a ton of it because, like I said, we're new everywhere we go. But we do have a cut-in with our chef, our corporate chef, once a month, and we try all sorts of new things all the time. Different sandwich profiles, different wing sauces, different jar desserts and shakes, and we work around the menu and work around the edges and find things that will attract guests, and also find things for us to really kind of talk about and allow us to define our own media space with those messages to allow maybe new users to say, hey, I want to go try that. And then they are exposed to the entire menu and everything that we've got.
Sure. What about, what's the core of Slim Chicken's company culture, and how do you foster a positive and high-performing work environment for your employees?
I think that's a great question. And anybody who says they have a perfect answer, I don't believe, because it starts from the top. I think that we have to be open and available to those younger than us and those kind of new to the brand, because new ideas happen. And we've done this 21 years, so we can't make the assumption that we know what the consumer wants 100% of the time. So, we try to make sure we are open to our franchisees giving us feedback. We're open to, our team members giving us feedback. We have a rule around here that, if we're in a big meeting, the most senior people have to speak last, because the younger folks can speak up without worry that they're going to disrupt anything because I said something and everybody else just shuts up. So I try to always let everybody say the piece, and then I'll come in at the end if need be in a lot of circumstances. But beyond that, I think that the cliche open door policy, everybody's got my cell phone number, every franchisee has my number. That's all true, and you have to live it. You have to be available. I mean, we're in the business to support franchisees, and so you got to be available to them and to all the team members that do the work to support them.
How has the chicken industry changed in the last 21 years since you've been doing this? What have you seen change over time?
Well, I mean, we could kind of nerd out on all sorts of chicken production items
Right.
that are interesting to me, but probably not to anybody else. But the ways that chickens are cut, the ways that they commoditize, the different parts and pieces has changed some. But the growth cycle and the commoditization of the entire bird is really relatively about the same. I mean, we're in a very expensive market now, a lot of it being supply driven, not demand driven, because there's been some hatchability issues in the U.S. in the last year, and more people wanting that supply. But the factories have capacity. We just can't get the birds back to where they need to be from a hatchability perspective. But it's coming back. So we're dealing with the ebbs and flows of a commodity price is always an issue for us that we have to kind of work through and think about how we have our annual buying strategy to make sure the franchisees have the best cost we can get them.
What's been the biggest challenge over those 20 years? What have you guys really kind of struggled with, and how have you kind of helped that?
Well, I think any small business generally that gets started by some young people is woefully undercapitalized, and it took us a long time to get our feet under us because we're just always undercapitalized. So, but we were able to effectively and creatively work with local banks and get ourselves in a position to grow, and then build the brand that is now created or given us a position to be very coveted in the space for other outside investors. Not that we have a bunch of them. We have one that we did a deal with some years ago, but we're now built to withstand the shocks of the industry. We are built to grow, and we're ready to keep on going.
When I ask this question about challenges in the industry, a lot of times I hear hiring and retention, recruitment and retention. What strategies are in place at Slim Chickens to develop and retain top talent within the organization?
Well, we have, you have to start with top talent, which we do. And then, we have what's called, Slim's University. We have a complete, deep training program that every employee goes through, corporate or at the stores. We work in the restaurants. Everybody works in the restaurants here at the office twice a year, once in the back, once in the front, every year. Okay. And we want to make sure that we're just in touch with the guest. And, being in the building, in the office, you're not in touch with the guests. Like, I try to get out in restaurants every week, just be there for lunch, be there for dinner, do a drive-through, and interact with the team, interact with the guests, just take a look at what's going on, and make sure that you're there. Because being in touch and present is how you keep a cultural team together, and how you also set an example that, look, this business that we have takes constant monitoring and attention, and we want to give it that.
What about kiosks? I think you all have started to implement kiosks. Why did you all do that, and what have you seen that really help in the business?
Yeah, I got to admit, our partners in the UK, our franchisees there, did kiosks first. It's a little more prevalent in the bigger cities in the UK. But we've seen a pretty ready adoption as we've tested the kiosks here in the US. And it, as you might guess, younger folks tend to skew towards the kiosks, and older folks tend to skew towards the people. But it also gives us a third and fourth and sometimes fifth order point where guests can go and not feel like they're under pressure, and don't have the pressure of the line behind them staring at the menu board. They can take their time. They can, flip through the different things, and that often leads to a higher check average. Not all the time, but it often does. And so, I think it's giving an option for the guest. It's allowing a guest to feel comfortable, and it's allowing a guest that wants to use it to have that experience.
Right. What about third-party drive-through lanes? I think you all have implemented that.
We haven't done it yet. We'll have one that's kind of in a test.
Okay.
And there's a trade-off. Every square foot that you buy costs money and adds to the capitalized rent that you're going to have for the restaurant. So do you want to invest in a whole another lane, which makes the lot bigger, which makes your rent higher? And I think in some places we will. As we take this test to fruition, I think we'll understand better which types of markets accept that, or which types of markets it just isn't used enough to justify the cost. But we've got to do our job for the franchisees and guiding them to projects that have a good return and a good return on their investment. And so we have to really measure that and make sure it's the right thing. But in some markets, I believe it will be.
Okay, good. What about your digital strategy, including online ordering and delivery and loyalty programs? What are you guys doing in terms of your digital experience?
We were very fortunate that we invested in online app order and loyalty early on, before COVID. And so, when COVID happened, we were ready. And so we had an excellent run through that. But I think for us, it's trusting in my IT team that's right downstairs for me right now, understanding what their goals are, what needs are, and then trying. The biggest challenge, I think, is sifting through all the tech offerings to find things that are actually valuable. There's a lot of stuff out there. You can invest in all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right.
Is it really valuable for our brand? That's what our job is as executives, is to figure out if it's worth that investment for our franchisees. Does it really deliver help or service or solve a problem? If so, then we're going to look into it. But I think there's a lot of them that are bolt-ons to other services that, for our brand anyway, the value could be questioned.
Sure. Sure. AI, anything you guys doing with AI?
We've tested some AI in drive-throughs. We're seeing the same customer response that everybody else has. If you read all the position papers that are out there from everybody that's tried it, it is not perfect yet, but I think we're going to continue to refine it and play with it and tweak it. And and just like anything, when we believe it will deliver value to the franchisees, we'll start deploying it if we feel like it's right.
Sure. I guess my last question is, if you had a piece of advice to give to a franchisee who's just starting out in the industry, what would you tell them?
I'd encourage them to have a really deep conversation with the franchisor and understand all the margin points the franchisor is taking off the restaurants. I mean, there are some that have a bunch of margin built into, products, real estate, supply chain items, and that's fine. That's how they built the business. But just understanding that as you walk in and the true financial strata of P&L for them and for you, I think is important. We try to help our franchisees with P&L analysis. We're very transparent. We let everybody see everything. It's just like we're here to help. And I think that's an important piece of the puzzle. But in the end, it's about making money. And if a franchise system can deliver a franchisee a product in a brand that can make them money, then I'd say more power to them. It's great.
Well, I think that'll do it. We're out of time. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Happy to do it. Thanks for the opportunity. It was great.
Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.